And if you don't, now you know. I'm in the park right here in the Boston Common, and let me see if put this light on so I could see a little better, make it a little brighter. Hold on 1 second, family. There we go, so I could see a little better. There we go, seeing much better now. But yeah, I just left my martial arts class. It was with one of my good teachers, and he said something very significant to me last time I was with him in regard to combat, in regard to martial arts. He says you got to be soft. Now, for the longest time, I didn't really understand what he was saying, even though I would logically understand it, reading about the Tao Te Ching, different things, softness, overcoming hardness, this and that forth. But to put it into practice is a certain thing. So one of my martial art teachers, he likes to do a lot of hand-on hand combat. So we would go through the different movements. He said, "You see the softness, and at the point of striking, that's where the level of force comes in. It's a perfect play on the yin and the yang." But yeah, I have my tiger hook swords here. He didn't want me. He wrapped them up because he's like, Dooley, you can't be walking around with that. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta get a plastic one. So he just wrapped up some of these things here. So I just got on the train and but the tiger hooks, woo, yeah, deadly, deadly weapon. But yeah, I'm reaching out to the family. I was gonna do a Facebook joint, but I was like, man, may do this for my peoples on Facebook as well, and then I just share it on my Facebook. But I hope everyone's doing good out there. There's a couple of things I want to talk about. One is that this medicine works. Oh my. I'm gonna let you know what your boy been going through. Um, I was traveling, doing my thing, doing work for the people, and I was in Milwaukee, right? Now that place is interesting. It has a very interesting energy there. As I go to different states, I feel out the land. I feel out the energy. I feel what's going on this part of the land, the spirits that actually um, are basically in control of these parts of the land. The best thing I could say is this: I just read the Monkey King novel, graphic novel. It was so dope. I really enjoyed it. But the Monkey King, if you don't know about it, the story is actually called Journey to the West, where this Monkey King is a little, he bring the ruckus to all you motherfuckers. You know what I mean? So he's causing all kinds of havoc for Dagon in the Emperor. I mean, for the Jade Emperor in the celestial realms, all that. You know, one of the people, somebody said, "What's good, brother? What's good? Oh, Coyote Prophet, peace. What's going on, man? What's good?" So Kuan Yin, Buddha in the novel, Buddha puts him under this big boulder thing, right? And yeah, I was in Hawaii, yeah. Yeah. And yo, it was like a ghost town, man. Looking around, I'm like, yo, where's everybody at? And it was one sister that was building there. She's like, yeah, when the sun go down, you know, I go in. You know what I mean? I'm like, what? Where am I? You know what I mean? And daggone one of my friends that invited me, God bless her, but they had a little shootout at her spot over there. So I'm like, man, I kept on telling them, like, make some organite pieces and put some daggone organite pieces um around the hood. You know what I mean? Bury them shits around the hood. And I had a friend of mine that used to do that all the time, especially on certain blocks that would have a lot of gang activity and stuff. She would just bury these organized pieces, especially near these what you may call it, the cell phone towers or whatever. You know what I mean? Because they're letting off all kind of frequencies to be messing with people's heads. You know what I mean? So putting the organized pieces, putting these power crystals in the dirt, bury them in these areas, make it into a grid, and you'll see and put your intention, put your prayers in that, and you'll see the difference. I remember my friend used to do that all the time, where it would be a lot of shootings and stuff, And then, the crime rate would go down because she would set up a energy grid for that whole block, and setting up your prayers and stuff. That stuff is powerful. We can reclaim our power in a lot of ways. But what I was saying in regard to um the spirit of the land, because first of all, let's make this very clear. Hold on, I gotta tell this person, whoever's calling me, I'll call them back. Always somebody always. I'm doing some video, but anyways, um, when we deal with the spirit of the land, for instance, there's history. There's history to the land. There's different things that go on the land. Like, for instance, where I'm at right now is the Boston Common. Do you know that people that used to come here late at night sometimes would see ghostly apparitions walking around? People that looked like, they reported that this was in the Boston newspaper. I think it was the Boston Herald or the Boston Globe. All right. But do you know that they was seeing all kinds of ghostly apparitions walking around here of Native American looking people and African looking people, because they used to be mass hangings down here. Okay. There used to be mass hangings down here, public hangings down here. All right. And I remember my old when I was deep into the Tibetan Buddhism in the early 2000s, and I was sitting at the feet of some of these lamas and these rinpoches. They would say the most worst thing you could have is an untimely death, because sometimes the process of dying so quickly, you don't even know you snapped out of your body, that you're daggone dead. All right. So I have a couple of good friends that what their job is to do is to get these spirits out of limbo. You know what I mean? I have one brother who uses a special sword, and he puts a special ointment on it, and he puts it into the earth, and he does certain things to release certain spirits that are trapped in certain places. I have another person, his older sister, that does a particular dance to be able to get to have these ancestors or these people that are trapped in a state of limbo, to allow them to go to the next destination where they got to go. So this stuff is real, all right? And so what goes on in the history of part of the land and stuff also affects the vibration of a particular place. But then you have local deities that actually are guardians of certain parts of the land. So in the book Journey to the West, or the Monkey King, somebody is making some comments here. Hold on, Macy here. I would have to come up to see you. I'm in Chicago. Yo, listen, man. I go wherever spirit tell me to go. So if it's meant for me to go to this shy town or whatever, I'm there. You know what I mean? I'm gonna spread love wherever I go, man. You know what I mean? But hey, hold on. Been following for years. D1 and okay, peace. Yo, why is it? Hold on. People always like to call me when I'm on it. Um, Call this person back. Somebody else says, peace, family. Gratitude for showing up, sharing, and doing the work. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Nace Syra. I hope you're saying your name right. Yeah, let me know. Put it together, my brother Coyote, and I'm there. You know what I mean? Put it together. I'm there. We have the blueprint. Sometimes I work with other individuals that come with me on retreat. Sometimes I work with my good friend Nikki, or she also goes by Keitha. She's a tantrika, and she deals a lot with the Bufo medicine. I think she's important in this game, because she's decolonizing how we look at sexuality, sensuality, all that. You know, and I swear to God, I wish I met that woman years ago, because I would have not gone through so many different heartaches and things, and relationship issues. I mean, because all this is about reclaiming you, reclaiming your power, re letting go all this damn trauma. So you can be able to be a healthy individual. So when you do find somebody that you really dig, y'all can really get it popping. You know what I mean? But we can't give nothing from no damn empty cup, you know? So, like I said, the last time I worked with Ether, um, she had us do a mirror exercise, right? She had us do a mirror exercise, and it was like us observing what do we see about ourselves, how do we perceive ourselves, and then she had us take off certain things that she said take off something that's comfortable. Some people might say take a watch off, necklace off, what have you. Then she said take off something that doesn't make you feel comfortable. So everybody end up stripping down to their birthday suit. Now that was the first time I ever been standing butt naked in front of people I didn't even know. It was so. It was a little scary at first. You know what I mean? I was being a little vulnerable, but then it taught me a lot. It's like, yo, this is about. First of all, we come into this world with this birthday suit. There's a lot of indigenous people that still walk around nude or barely showing the, and then it's not a big deal. They don't we over sexualize things so much in this part of the world is ridiculous because we don't have a healthy view on sexuality. We don't even have a healthy view of getting in touch with our central self. You know what I mean? Which is a power within our own self. I'll never forget, and I'm gonna go back to the Monkey King because I'm going all over the place here. Um, in the spirit of the land, I'm gonna go back. But I remember I was working with this one sister, and I'll never forget. I was doing a psychic surgery with her. The spirits kept on telling me, open up her heart chakra, open up her heart chakra. So my fingers kept on doing this whole thing. Do, 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 do. Like very fast, like my hand vibrating. Do, 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 do. Open it up, open it up, open it up, open it up. Then they had me work more on her stomach area. Do, 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 do. Because they were saying she needs activation in the womb area as well. Next thing I know, woman shaking uncontrollably, yelling, and I see my eyes wasn't even closed, but my third eye was open at that moment. I see these dark entities leaving her vagina. Can't make this shit up. Shit start coming out of her. She's shaking, screaming, and it goes out, it leaves her and goes out the ceiling and leaves. You know what I mean? It was deep. And then they told me after that, do some grounding for her. Do some grounding. So I'm doing a grounding for her just to kind of bring her back into her body, you know? And then she starts having a full body orgasm. All right. At that moment, she's like, oh, what's going on? She's embarrassed, right? Because she's feeling her body for the first time, really. You have to understand all that trauma, all those things that she was holding into her womb that left her. Now she was able to really feel her body, feel her orgasm, feel her sensuality, you know? So at that point, I was like, no need to be embarrassed. As you let go, now you're starting to feel things. You're safe. I'm not here to take advantage of you in this or anything. You're safe here, and you're fine. And I'm not trying to judge what you're going through right, you know? But it was a profound experience for her. And it was profound to be a witness to see that, you know? So I mean, in regard to our bodies and learning to really love ourselves, it is a journey, my friends. I'm starting to finally fucking love myself, man. Growing up with so many insecurities, you know what I mean? And it starts from childhood, you know what I mean? So I'm at a place where I was like, from my mom's passing away, from, even the separation with my wife, you know what I mean? Different things that happen, man, all that my good friend Baba Kalindi, passing away. All this hit me at one time. I was in a state of depression for about 4 or 5 years. I'm just getting out of it, y'all. You know what I mean? And in my body would show that my pot belly, all this stuff. Realizing that eating out of emotions and holding on to all this stuff, you know. Now my body's starting to go back to its natural state because I'm again starting to love myself again. It's deep, man. This shit gets deep. But back to the Monkey King. In the book, in the novel, they were showing how the Monkey King was able to communicate to the local deities of the land. So he'd be like, yo, if he would come across a demon, he'd fight a demon, whatever. Um, because their whole thing was to protect this monk. That's the gist of the story. Excuse me. And so Dagon is at one point they go to this one part of the land. He put his staff. He got this big staff that the Monkey King owed. He put it down and he talking to the local deities. And it's like, hey, what's the deal? Blase blah. So essentially, everything is conscious. Our land, certain parts of the land have consciousness to it. You know, there's certain protectors and deities of the land. All right. And there's certain ways to appease them and to bring balance. There's a guy named Padma Sambhava. Look him up. Very interesting guy from India. And he went to Tibet and he had to actually deal with all these demons, all these local demons of that area. You know what I mean? And what he did is that he didn't destroy these demons. He had them convert to the way of Buddha. You know what I mean? The same thing they showed in the daggone Monkey King. You know what I mean? He was like, listen, give up your evil ways, and then we're gonna have you rock out with Kuan Yin in them. You know what I mean? And this shit is true. This is not just book knowledge I'm talking about. I'm talking about actual sessions that I was in with people, exorcisms. You know what I mean? When it came to a point, I'll never forget. I was working with this one sister. These deity, these entities that were on this woman, they don't even look human. They were like these dog type of things. Couldn't even call them dogs, but that's the best way I could describe them. You know what I mean? I'm in the spirit realm. They look like they're gonna ferociously try to tear me to pieces. And something into my higher self said to them, he says, the higher self of myself said, telepathically tell them that you forgive them. Boy, oh boy. When I did that, and it wasn't intellectual, it wasn't up here, it was from here, from the heart. So when it came to that place of like, hey, telepathically sending that message to those beings, you know what happened? Those beings transformed. The ones that couldn't take that love vibration, boom, they left to whatever dimension or wherever they needed to go. The other ones, they daggone transformed into a loving being. So this stuff works. This stuff works. I'm gonna tell you. You know what I mean? Even another time when I was at another retreat, and sometime I worked with another person. His name is Juan Pablo. Really good brother. You know what I mean? He's from Colombia. And hopefully, just hopefully, I'm gonna cross my fingers on this one. Hopefully in February, I'll be taking a trip with him to Colombia. And he's gonna bring me into the jungle to deal with some of his teachers and some of the indigenous people there. You know, in that part, they build their houses off the ground because there's a lot of water flooding that comes through there. But in February, there's no water flooding, so we could actually walk right through there. But he's gonna take me to the grave site of one of the last living shape shifting shamans. Okay, and to this day, he said there's a jaguar that comes to this shaman's gravesite every night. He was known to be a shapeshifter, you know, this particular shaman, you know, known throughout the area. People seen him shapeshift all the time, you know. So there's a lot to us that we don't know, my friends. And we have to be a little more open-minded and not go to the place of fear. Because that's where the first reaction where most people come from is fear, especially very deeply rooted religious people. They say, oh, shapeshifting. Oh, you're dealing with the devil. Or you're dealing with something demonic. No. Your scope and your vision of how you see reality is just how you see it. But not everyone sees it the same way you do. And that's the beauty of traveling, of learning how others live in different things. Okay? So, the Monkey King, the land. I'm going to go into my testimony. This is my testimony. All right? While I was in Milwaukee, I worked with two sisters. did a psychic surgery with. Now, before I got there, mind you, I felt a slight pain in my arm. I didn't take note of it. I was like, man, maybe who knows? I know I was doing some things with my arms, martial arts stuff, not that long ago. Sometimes I'd be randomly hitting my arms on the trees or the poles and stuff, working on the iron shirt type of techniques. So I thought maybe I just went a little too ham that day, right? So I'm working with this one sister, and in the middle of the healing, I start to see what was going on, because I wish I had a piece of paper to kind of draw so you could visually see what I'm talking about here. Because sometimes it can be a little complicated to explain these things mm, from a third dimensional perspective. But I'm gonna give it a try. All right. Just like you, for those who might have seen Mason, what could be it here? Maybe those who've seen the last Spider-Man movie, Miles Morales, right? The Spider-Verse, all these different Spider-Man and stuff and different things from different, we're multi-dimensional, okay? So while I'm working on her, I start to see what was going on with my arm. And I also started to see what's going on with my back. I started to have a little bump on my back that over time it was getting a little bigger, bigger, bigger as each day went by. So while I'm in the spirit realm working with this sister, they show me them somebody's trying to throw some bad juju my way. Now this is common. All right? Juan Pablo from Colombia. Somebody else said the comment is Juan. No, it's not Juan Juanito. No, his name is Juan Pablo, and he's from Colombia. You might be talking about somebody else. No, this is not the same person. Look at the little squirrel come up to me. You want some food, little squirrely? Hold on, let's turn the around so you can see. Hey, how you doing? How you doing, my friend? Yeah, yeah. You want to give me? Come over here. All right, I'll let him do his thing. Okay, so I'm working on a sister, like I said, but they showed me what's going on with my arm. I'm able to simultaneously work on myself, work on the sister, and also there was somebody else for her own privacy. They showed me something was going on with her. So I'm working on myself, this other woman, and the woman that is sitting physically in front of me, working with her as well. So it takes practice, y'all, to be doing all these multiple things all at one time. All right. Now, spirit message. All right. I'm gonna have to look up who can look up squirrel right now for me. See what's going on here. I know that book by Ted Andrews, Animal Speaks. It's a great book that really decodes a lot of the symbolism of the totem animals. But boom, boom. So I'm able to get the thing off my arm. My arm was straight. Pain gone. I was still trying to work on the sister that was in front of me and the other sister. So I wasn't looking at what I was going through as my main priority. Because this client came to me, I need to focus on her specifically, you know? I could always come back to me and do whatever I need to do for myself, right? So, her healing after that little brief thing, her healing was amazing. It was amazing. I mean, totally different from night and day. Like the next day, you could see how bright, like you could see the light coming from her face because of all the stuff that she let it go. Right? Yeah, the book Coyote Prophet. The book is called Animal Speaks by the author Ted Andrews. Ted Andrews. He's a great author. I like him because he makes it very his information very accessible to people, very simple. You know, like Malcolm X said a long time ago, or El Malik Shabazz said a long time ago. He says make the information so easy that even a child can understand. We sometimes have a lot of teachers and authors that want to sound so fancy. Ooh, look how smart I am. Ooh. Get to the point. And people ain't got time for all that stuff. But anyways, um, but so the thing is this. Um, while the sisters daggone uh session was so interesting because all these different cats started filling up the room. These etheric cats, right? Spirit cats. Like, I look over here, got this jaguar. Look over there, it's a tiger. Look over here. You know what I mean? A cheetah. Like the whole cat family just popping out of nowhere, right? And mind you, before this happens, it's like this jewel. It was like it looked like a big ball of light, but it was like it had a bluish white hue. And I look at myself, I'm not, you know, I'm looking at myself, I'm in a different form. I'm kind of bluish. I have kind of different hands. They don't look so much human. And I look at my appearance and it looks like I have type of bird face or something. All right. We have to understand being multidimensional beings, meaning that you have different bodies or different appearances in different dimensions, right? So you don't necessarily in this dimension, yeah, you might be human. In another dimension, you could look like something totally different. All right. So I'm in this other dimensional body and I see that I'm holding something that looks like this big ball of light jewel thing. And they want me to put it in her. Now, there's all these distractions, these little distractions and stuff that's trying to prevent me to put it in her. You know what I mean? Little dimensional lower beings and stuff. And there's different ways that you deal with them. Sound is one of the greatest, in my opinion. But there's all kinds of techniques. You have to be if you have a calling to do this type of work, you have to be very versatile, very flexible. You can't be rooted just in one particular style. That's why Bruce Lee said, be like water. Be like water, my friend. You know what I mean? Being flexible, being able to fit this situation at hand, you know? Somebody that just feels like this one way of dealing with a situation, you're gonna get effed up in certain oh, when the negative entities have come, I just do this type of chant or I do this type of thing. And you don't think these guys don't take notes on the other side? Like, oh, he or she's just gonna come with that same old jazzy thing that they always do, and then they're gonna burn the sage and Palo Santo. You know what I mean? That negative spirit might come through with their little etheric gas mask on. Aha! Got you that time. You know what I mean? You gotta be flexible. You gotta know how to entrust the process. Trust it. Trust your higher self. If your higher self tell you to do something like, then do it. Your higher self knows what it's doing. All right. Now back to this thing. So I put this thing in her, right? And I love talking to people at the end of the session because it's like we do a check-in. And when I did that, she seen this bright light. Her eyes were closed, but she seen this big bright light on her end when I put that in her. So I love doing the whole check-in thing. All right. Because it also makes me do what I'm doing to learn more about what I'm doing, how I could be better. All right. And it also confirms confirmation. Because sometimes things could be your own imagination sometimes. Because we could get very creative up there. But when you have it's not a subjective experience. When it's an objective experience, you bring the other person's experience in, y'all both on the same page, then you know you're tapping into something there. All right. Now, somebody says something here. You still in Atlanta, ghetto shaman? No, I'm not. I never was in Atlanta. My hometown is Boston, my friend. I'm from the Bean Town. But I travel a lot. Wherever people want me to go, I go. You know. So I have a lot of good friends in Atlanta. And also, I want to say RIP, rise in power to my good friend, my good brother, Chief Nighthawk Tellis of Atlanta. You know, he was, and when it came down to referrals and people couldn't get to me, I always would bring them to Chief Nighthawk. You know what I mean? He was a really stand up dude, man, and he knew his stuff. You know, he worked with Wachuma. He worked with he do the sweat lodge. You do the combo, do all the different things with the folk. But he was a very honest man, and I love that brother, man. Really good dude, man. And his wife Anna is having she's putting something together in October. I believe it's October 21st, if I'm not mistaken. I'm most likely I will be there, offering some of my medicines. All right. Um, yeah, her name is Anna Clark. If you want to get more information on that, I think it's Anna Clark on Facebook and on Instagram. That's Tellis's wife. If you want to be a part of that she's putting together soon, for next month. So, okay, let me go back to what I was going to say here. Okay, I was talking about the woman's experience. So while I put the thing in her, the light in her, she transformed. She transformed into this Black Panther Catwoman before my eyes. It was I could paint it. It was so beautiful. It was so powerful. You know what I mean? She turned into this Catwoman, Black Panther woman type woman. All right. And she had this crown jewel on the top of her head. It was amazing. So eventually, when I finished her session, again, we're comparing notes. What did you get on your end? What did you see on your side? This is what I seen on my side. When I told her about how I seen her turn into a daggone cat woman, her mouth was like this. Are you serious? She she rolled up her pants tattoo, and the tattoo was of this Black Panther. Okay, all right. Somebody always trying to call me. I'll call you back. Okay, call you back. All right. Daggone. I used to people always like to daggone call me when I'm on the. You know, I don't understand it, man. You know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean. Any other time, ain't nobody calling me. You know what I mean? Crickets. You know what I mean? All of a sudden, you want to do something productive and share something with some folk. You know what I mean? Daggone everyone one call at the same time. But anyway, but anyways, you know, you gotta laugh. You gotta laugh at all this. I laugh at myself all the time. That's one of my meditations. Laugh at myself. What you do today, you crazy ass motherfucker? You know what I mean? Fucking up once again, Dooley. But anyways, can't take this shit so serious, my friends. But you know, what was so interesting is that she rolled up her pants leg and she showed me her tattoo. All right. She showed me the tattoo. Oh, somebody says, Coyote says, I miss Boston Common. Wow, so you been to the bean. All right, yeah, man. Everybody out here chilling. There was some guy playing saxophone earlier. You know, I just came from with doing some martial art with my teacher. So I was like, man, go over here and sit down in the grass and eat something. You know, and do it. And then I was moved to do this video because of my own testimony. So she showed me the tattoo, and then on top of that, she's a Leo. So I was like, wow, this guy, you can't make this stuff up. This is deep. So long story short, after I did that, I was supposed to go to Minnesota. All right. So sister that invited me, she she from Milwaukee, she was trying to drive me to the airport, right? Met traffic. Getting this person had an accident. You know what I mean? We running late. I missed my plane. But at that point, the thing that was on the back that I didn't fully get, it started getting bigger and bigger. And by this time, it was all puffed up. You could imagine. It was almost the size of a little small golf ball. That's how big it was. Serious pain, man. I mean, even if I would try to lay down, ow, 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 string pain. All right. So I'm like, I took it as a sign to go back to Boston to rest up, take care of myself. And then because I was supposed to go this weekend to Cali, you know what I mean? Do some work over there. His brother wanted me to come to San Francisco, right? Some Coyote says Roxbury, Vancouver, and Huntington Drive. Yeah, that's where I'm from. I'm from Roxbury, bro. From the bean, from Glocksbury, as they would say. Sometimes they say Glocksbury, Murder Pan, Mattapan, Worcester, Dorchester. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, I grew up in the Berry, at OG. You know what I mean? Be a father to your child, you know. Daggone Bobby Brown in them, new edition, you know. Um, but yeah, yo. So I called the dude last night. I was like, yo, I don't think I can make it to Cali this weekend. You know what I mean? And I try to be a man of my word. I felt bad. I was like, yo, man, it's not that I'm trying to daggone just be an asshole and because bought the ticket for me and all that, and I felt bad. You know what I mean? I was like, man, I want to be a man of my word and keep my word. You know, because that's what you got to stand on. You got to stand on your, as they say, your word is your bond. So brother is like, duly rest. You always traveling, you always helping people and stuff. Rest, take care of yourself, bro. So I was like, you sure? He's like, man, we'll reschedule it. Don't worry, you know? So I said, okay, okay. So I felt a little better because he was like, man, don't worry. All right. So, but the brother had to remind me of snake venom because that's one of the medicines I was gonna bring down for the family. So he's like, Dooley, did you take snake venom for yourself? You see how we are, especially some of these healers and stuff. We're always giving to everybody, everybody, everybody. We ain't even taking care of our damn self. That was a big lesson for me. And I said, you know what? I was like, his name is Prince. I was like, you know what, Prince? You're right. I need to do some goddamn snake venom for myself. Now I did do some combo for myself when I first got back to Boston. The pain was so much that when I did the combo, and combo is frog medicine, it's detox medicine. Right? But somebody said something. Yeah. Beantown Ghetto Shaman. Hello from Australia. Perp. Always got the most interesting videos. Well, thank you from Australia, all the way out there. Word. Big up to everybody out there doing their thing. Keep up the great work. The revolution, the real revolution is the evolution of the mind, of the heart, of the spirit. You know, sometimes I look around what's going on in this world and I just shake my head. I'm like, this shit is crazy. They're selling us fake burgers, McDonald's 50-cent burgers and all. Come on, y'all. They eating crap. They're selling people crap. They're putting crap into Monsanto seeds. This is crazy. If you really look at it, it's a zoo. And the only thing that's going to change is us changing, each of us, learning to love ourselves. And when we learn to love ourselves, then we could start making an effect for other folk, you know? But, somebody said finally did Bufo a couple of weeks ago. Yeah, uh, uh, yeah, that Bufo ain't no joke. I don't know if y'all remember one video I did of a brother who had a stroke and couldn't even walk. you know. And I had a vision. I told him, I said, "You're gonna walk again, man. Come over here to this retreat. You're gonna walk again." And I think that was the most I ever took Bufo. The most. I mean, I think a normal dosage is like 100 milligrams. That's more like a high dose. Man, the brother I had the Bufo there that day. His name is Steve. Cool brother. I kept on telling. At that moment, we was doing a healing on the brother that was in the wheelchair. I had a couple of people on the side of him, and I was at his feet. I kept on telling Steve that the spirits are telling me smoke more, smoke more of the bufo. And the guy, and Steve's just looking at me like, sure, that's a lot. Like, come on, man, keep on giving it to me. Yeah, next thing I know, man, my macabre starts to open up. It was like a light blue, white color. The sacred geometry of the copper macabre. I could see it. It starts spinning around me real quick. Like next thing I know, I feel like a shoot of energy just goes right through the top of my head. It went like choo. It went all the way up into the sky. I could feel it. It was moving like at the speed of light. And it hit something. And that's when it started to thunder. It's like, "Vroom." You know what I mean? And then this energy came back down and came through me. And the energy was so intense, started going through the brother. And then at one point, they said the spirits were like, okay, he's done. I'll never forget this. There was two guys that was next to him. They were trying to help him. He said, no, I don't need no help. The dudes start to stand up, and the dude started to, this is him. He started to do this little joggling around this, um, the woman's place where we did it at. Her name is Dr. A, good friend of mine, who's a naturopathic doctor. He started doing this thing like this, like, no, like this little jog thing like that. We around the tree. I'm talking about a couple of hours ago, he couldn't even walk. You know what I mean? Everybody started crying. I started crying like a baby because we was witnessing a miracle at that moment, you know? And my third eye was still open, so I seen his deceased mother. That was, her spirit was there cheering them on, like, yes, go, go, go. You can't make this stuff up, and that's why we can't be closed-minded and put limitations onto this reality. I just recently seen a video of daggone talking about the cities, the natural powers that some of these Tibetan monks got. And one of the techniques, and I know this is true because I got a couple of initiations back in the day from this elder. His name is Garchen Rinpoche. I haven't seen him in years. I believe he's still alive, but very, very loving person. You know what I mean? And what's so interesting about a lot of these monks and nuns I met in the past, they was dealing with the Chinese communists at that time. So it was like against the law to even practice Buddhism, to do their meditations. They have a picture of the Buddha or anything in their home, they would get arrested. You know what I mean? And even tortured. Shit was real. So I met a lot of these monks and nuns in the past in the early 2000s that spent times at concentration camps, tortured camps, and these people, some of them that I met, did not hold a grudge at all, a level of resentment at all. And that was big for me. I was like, wow, I got something to learn from these people here. Because if they would, I'm talking about, I remember I never forgot. It was one nun, man, they used to take cow prongs, man, electrical cow prongs, and put it in her vagina. Man, man, sick shit, fucked up shit, you know? And she was able to still come out from that experience not not torn apart, man, not having her spirit broken. If anything, she came out more stronger. That's deep. So, I was watching this video the other day, and Garchen Rinpoche, I remember he didn't speak so much good English, so he had an interpreter that told me he was telling me about the fast running technique, where these brothers, they like, you see Star Wars, you see the Jedi, they be like, zoom, zoom. You had some of these monks that knew the fast running technique where they could run over mountains and stuff, like jump for so many feet. You know what I mean? Like Superman, leaping in a single bound. That stuff is real. But again, most people in this Western world, we live in such a materialistic, capitalistic, power-driven society that these people, these real masters, you will never see them. You will never see them. And if you do see them, they're on the low low. You hear me? They're on the low low because they know what they're dealing with. These people are barbaric. We're talking about modern day Rome. Speaking of modern day Rome, I read this graphic novel, and y'all know I love my graphic novels and my comic books. That's why even me and Baba Kalindi, R.I.P. to the big homie. We would sit down definitely, and that was one thing that we definitely would get down with was the comic books. I'll never forget when Baba Kalindi came to Boston and spent time at my apartment, man. He looked through my library and I'm thinking, oh yeah, this is the time where Baba Kalindi gonna enjoy my library. I got all these esoteric books. I'm ego tripping, right? And Baba Kalindi, he bypassed all the esoteric shit. You know what he went to get? He was reading the whole weekend there at my crib was comic books, was Doctor Strange. I had one of the early, thick book of Doctor Strange, the old school versions of the Doctor Strange joints, and Clinty was all in it. That's all he was doing was reading that daggone whole weekend was daggone book of Doctor Strange. And I just got this one too, by the way. This is a real good one. Doctor Strange. I just got this one. It's on and popping. Good one. I'm almost done with it. But so I just read the Golden Ass, and it was by Jodorowsky. Jodorowsky is hands down, one of my favorite authors, graphic novelists of all time right now. You know, and I love a lot of different writers. Like my favorite sci-fi writer, hands down, is Octavia Butler, hands down. Kindred, um, Parable of the Sower. Great, great, great material. But Jodorowsky, woo-wee, first time I read the Incal, changed my life. Changed my life. So he did this version of the Golden Ass. And boy, oh boy, the artwork is amazing. It was like, it was like, hold on, somebody again trying to call me, daggone it. You know, I'll call you back. All right. It was it was like I was taken in a time machine back to ancient Rome, you know? And essentially the story is about this young man who turns into a donkey, all right? Because he's dealt with this woman who's a magical witch or whatever. And the one girl that he liked, they end up going into her magical space, putting this potion on. So he daggone shapeshifts and goes into this donkey, but don't know how to get back into his human form again. But essentially, the story it brought up a lot of different things. One, it had me think about the animal, right? It had me think about how when we look at animals, sometimes as human beings, we think that they're not intelligent. We think they're not capable of communicating and thinking of no. And that was even clearly shown in that graphic novel, The Golden Ass. Now I'll give you two examples of what I'm trying to talk about. One time I put on couple of maybe last week, I put on my Facebook page um this one was it jaguar? Was it jaguar or leopard? I think it was a jaguar. But it was basically these owners, you know, like they had him at this sanctuary or zoo type place, and he was communicating. The guy who was taking care of these animals, he came across this lady that says that she could talk to animals telepathically. So in the beginning of the film, you could tell that he's totally doubtful of what she could do. Um, very skeptic, like, you know, yeah, really? Come on, lady. You know, really? You're trying to put that level of intelligence on animals like that. So, long story short, the lady starts to talk to this jaguar. She telepathically, they're communicating. And the jaguar, first thing it says is like, I don't like my name. Can you tell those human beings stop calling me? They was calling him um the Spanish name for the devil. Diablo. They was calling him Diablo, right? Or whatever. He said, I don't like that. That's what the jaguar said. Can you call me something else? That's not my name. All right. So of course the guy that's the skeptic, he's like, yeah, well, anyways, that could be the lady's imagination saying that he's saying that, whatever. But when the jaguar communicated with him and said, what happened to the two cubs? That's when the skeptic dude so demeanor changed. He's like, what? He's like, what do you mean? He's like, the jaguar said when I was first brought here, there were two cubs with me. What happened to them? I'm concerned about them. Now, the dude that was the skeptic, that's when he was like, what? How did how did you know this? This woman was never here when the jag was here, first came here with these cubs. How would you know that? That's when you gotta see the video, y'all. It was crazy. It was wild. But again, it reminds me also when I was in Costa Rica, when I was first learning about combo, frog medicine. I don't know if y'all heard some of the old video I said about this, but yo, I'll never forget this. I tell my kids this. I hope my children tell their grandkids about this. I'm up in I'm up in daggone Costa Rica, right? And they have these monkeys out there called the Harlan monkeys, right? These daggone monkeys would be making all kind of ruckus. They would be making type of sounds, right? So, I'm from the city. You know what I mean? So I'm looking around. I'm like, where I hear them, but where are they? You know? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So what happened? One morning, I'm going to get my breakfast. This is one area that, where we all get our breakfast at, right? So I'm going to get some breakfast. Something tells me to go look up. I look up, and Lord behold, there's about four monkeys, Harlem monkeys, in the tree looking directly at me. But one of them specifically was staring at me very intently, very intense. I was like, "What?" We just locked eyes, and we just looked at each other for a good couple of seconds. And I was like, okay, it's good to finally see y'all." And then I went along my business, go eat my breakfast, right? Normal day. We go along with the combo teachings, all this other stuff. That night, I go to sleep and I wake up. Like I wake up around 3, 4 in the morning because it's them damn mosquitoes, right? Even though I had the little net thing around me, them things are still getting in for some way. Zip, 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 getting me left and right. I'm like, damn mosquitoes. You know what I mean? I can't go to sleep, right? Now I'm up. Now I'm up. I can't go to sleep. And I start just having these random thoughts. So I'm thinking about Great Spirit. I'm thinking about God, Goddess, whatever you want to call it. And I'm thinking from a quantum perspective. So I'm like, if they say God is everything, if we're talking about singularity consciousness or 0 point, then hmm, then maybe even an animal could be God. Since everything is consciousness, and we're looking at this through all the mythologies, they're talking about this grand consciousness creating itself, giving birth to itself, to know itself, and it's living through all of us. Then couldn't an animal be be God as well? This I'm just thinking to myself. I ain't saying nothing out loud, not just my own thoughts. Then I went further with my thoughts. I said, I said, could even God be a monkey? Thought to myself. Next thing I know, as soon as I had that thought, all these Harlem monkeys jumped on the roof of where I was at. It was like, "Woo, woo, woo, woo." It had to be at least 8. They're going off on the and then as that's happening, it felt like I had an out of body experience. Not a full out of body, but it felt like my consciousness was kind of taking out my body in some way. And at that moment, I was able to connect with those Harlan monkeys. At that moment, they showed me something. I was able to see how specific animals, a lot of them have individuality, but also have a collective mind as well, or a beehive type of mind. So I was able to look through the eyes of those monkeys and literally see how their reality is. And at that point, I was like, oh shit, they are individuals, but they are a collective. So it's like I could feel every monkey in that jungle for miles. It was crazy. Next thing I know, my consciousness is back in my body, right? The roommate that was staying at where I was at, he was sleeping on the other side of the room on his bed. He wakes up like, what's going on? What just happened? What's happening here? Because he heard all the monkeys on the daggone roof going off, right? Oh, somebody said something here. Uh, you should get you some skin so soft next time you go to the jungle for mosquitoes. Man, thank you. Thank you. Because the daggone, they were tearing brother up. And sometimes you know what's so interesting too. And I'm gonna continue what I was saying with the monkeys. But you know what's so interesting too? Everything's a frequency. I remember I call my mom a saint, right? My mom transitioned. She's not here with us, at least in this dimension. But she comes visit me all the time. But my mom was such a deep woman, man. You know, she was like a living saint to me. But I remember there would be summers that would go by, not one mosquito would bite her. You know what I mean? So I don't know if it's a smell or a frequency or whatever. And it was one summer that happened to me. And it was crazy. People would be around me getting bit by mosquitoes and stuff. Not one mosquito bit me. I don't know what I did that summer, but it was interesting. But there's just a side note. I was just thinking about that. But you know what's so interesting was that the roommate woke up. He's like, what was going on? What happened here? I was like, man, you wouldn't even believe. Just go to sleep, go back to sleep. In the morning, I'll tell you more about it. You know what I mean? So I tell him when he wakes up, I tell him, yeah, I'm just thinking about some deep esoteric type of thoughts or whatever, and thinking about this, about God, even possibly being a monkey, and that's when all those monkeys show up on our roof right here. He's like, wow, that's crazy, dude. He's like, you're like the Beastmaster. I was like, you funny. That's an old school movie for those that don't know, you know. But you know, even when we went to breakfast the next day, I could overhear people's conversation at the breakfast table. And they're like, that was strange. You heard all those monkeys going off last night, and they were very loud. And you know, certain animals are very consistent. You know, they're like you have certain animals that they're definitely nocturnal, you know, and then there's certain animals that hit the hay when that sun go down. The monkeys would go to sleep when that sun go down. So for them to be popping up around 3, 4 in the morning, you know, that's out of their schedule. You know, so you know, I just found all that was interesting. You know, I had to bring that up and share that with y'all. But back to my testimony. Um, when I got back to Boston, I did the combo. The combo really did help some of the bump on my back. It relieved it, had it go down a little. Did a real good purge with it. Felt like I let out a lot of toxins, but I was still in pain. I rarely go to the hospital. I might have to be halfway dead before I go and step my foot in there. But it got so bad with the pain, I was like, you know what? Maybe I should go in there. I went in there, of course, got you waiting all day, you know, just to be seen. So I'm having a good time. I'm cracking jokes with everybody. You know, I'm doing Tai Chi. As soon as I start doing Tai Chi in the waiting room, of course they call me. He's like, oh, you know, we got us a little crazy one here. So they call so facts. If you want to get seen quicker in the hospital, just do some weird out of the matrix type of stuff, and they'll call you faster. So they call me. They look at my back. It's like, wow, we don't know what this is. Did you get bit by an insect, or you know? I can't tell them that. Yeah, you know, I was in the spirit world, and somebody that might be jealous or have something against me want to throw some juju on me. Yeah, yeah, doctor, that's what happened. No, I couldn't tell. I'm like, I don't know what happened, but you know, regardless of the point, they send me back out in the waiting room. It's like, okay, well, we took a little of your blood, you know, everything's normal. Your high, you know, your blood pressure is normal. Seem very healthy. You're gonna wait. We'll have you come back out and wait for the doctor again. So I'm waiting. By this time, I go get something to eat. So I was like, y'all ain't gonna have me starving up in here. So I go get something to eat, come back. I still didn't call. They still didn't call me. So I start getting back in my Qigong again. You know, of course, they're like, Mr. Wilkins. You know what I mean? Um, Abdul, that's my birthday. So Abdul, you know, so they call me and I daggone go in there into the place to see the doctor. And basically they gave me some antibiotics and some pain medication type of stuff. But before they do that, let me fast forward that. Before they do that, I'm on this. They have me on this little bed thing, and it's just hurting for me to lay down. I'm like, ow, right? So, and at that point, I'm getting a fever. I'm getting the chills. I'm getting the hots. So at that point, uh, right. Oh, actually, yes, I was in urgent care. Somebody says next time you go to, yeah, I went to the straight to the emergency. But they still do them crazy things, bro. You know. So um, I'm catching a fever, right? So and first of all, I'm playing my Native American flute music in the background. So people in the hospital like they're stopping in their mid track, like what is that calming music? You know what I mean? Eventually, one of the nurses like, yeah, we should put that type of music over the intercom, because it was just calming people down. You see, these environments, they could be so stressful. And there was a old lady behind me that before I left, she really thanked me. She said, "Thank you for the music." I was like, "Yeah, no problem." I was like, I like to, if I'm in a stressful environment, I make sure I'm feeling calm, at peace. So I had my little music playing, and then I started doing some Reiki hands-on healing for myself. I've been doing Reiki, and energy type of healing and Qigong and all that for almost 30 years now. So I have a love for doing energy work, right? And that was my foundation before I started even getting into the psychic surgery stuff, right? So I'm laying back in pain. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna have to just deal with my own self. So I started channeling the energy through my body. And then and then my higher self told me start making a certain tonation. So I'm like, mm, mm. I didn't care if it looked weird around anybody else. I'm doing my thing. By the time about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes go by, I lower my own temperature. I lower my own fever. So when the nurse finally comes back with the medicine, with the pain meds and anti, the rest of the stuff, right? She's like, "Wow, you had a fever earlier. You seem like you're pretty normal now." I was like, "Yeah, I was waiting for you." I didn't say that, but I was like, "Yeah." I was like, I started doing Reiki on myself and some tonation. And she's like, wow. She's like, yeah, I heard about Reiki. She's like, yeah, it'd be interesting to have like the hospital start incorporating more of these things. I was like, yeah, you're right. But long story short, I leave the hospital and and it was my homeboy, Prince from Cali. I said, Dooley, did you take some snake venom yourself? I was like, you know what? Duh. No, I didn't. So last night I took a combination. Some of the snake venoms you can actually combine. All right. And I learned snake venom while I was in Mexico. I was in Oaxaca, which is a beautiful place in Mexico. And I initially found my snake venom teacher out there through my good friend Acacia Lewis. If y'all don't know her, she's a fantastic teacher, wonderful person. You know, I went down there to take her class on alchemy, herbalism and alchemy, right? And so I'm down there because of her class. But I end up, and by the way, she's in one of these new documentaries talking about people of color in psychedelics. I think it's called A Table of Our Own. I haven't seen it yet, but she's featured in the film, and I'm excited to check it out. Excuse me. So that's how I got introduced to the snake venom, through going down there and meeting one of her teachers at the time. What impressed me with the snake venom so much, first one I got was Monaco Cobra. The first what impressed me was that it automatically helped my lungs. I was high in the mountains, so the high altitude had me having a hard time breathing, you know? What I noticed off the grip, off totally noticed was the next day, those same mountains, hills that I was having a hard time climbing and out of breath, I was walking them up those same hills and mountains with ease. I was like, oh shoot. I was like, man, this snake venom stuff really worked. Then the next thing what I noticed is when I came back to Boston for about 5 to 6 months, mental clarity. Like, you know how some people, they're overthinkers, they can't turn their brain off. They're thinking about this, thinking about that. Oh, did I do the dishes? What's going on tomorrow? Boom, 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 boom. Quiet, very quiet up there. So I was like, wow, this is very calming. And that's what I said to myself. I got to learn how to learn about this medicine and work with this medicine because it's going to help a lot of people. All right. Eventually, when I got a chance to go back to Mexico, I asked the man, and he was, to my surprise, he was open. I don't know what he's seen in me, but he's open to teach me. And I've been doing it ever since. So that's night. I decided, you know what? I'm gonna take some snake venom. So I took a combination of Bushmaster. Bushmaster is very a good snake venom that's good for recovery. If anyone had any good major operations or anything of that nature, very good for the bones, very good for the teeth, clean, excellent for cleaning out the liver. And then I did a combination with Bushmaster with Black Mamba. Black Mamba is excellent in regard to body pain, muscle pain, any type of different pains. And guess what, y'all? Believe it or not, the pharmaceutical industry, they have medications that have snake venom in it. You know what I mean? Most of your pain medications out on the market, guess what? Has bits and pieces of snake venom in it. So, these people know. You know what I mean? They know what's going on. And a good book to really read up on that on the level of what snake venom is and how it works, the history of how it was used throughout the world. Good book to read on that is called The Serpent Grail. I've got the author's name right now, but that's a good place to start off at to read about the subject. Because people have been using snake venom on a level of for your health, spirituality, different things for years. It's nothing. The pharaohs in Kemet in Egypt used to use it all the time. People throughout South America, China, you name it. Medieval, I mean, in Europe, all of them, they would use it as well, right? Um, so I put Black Mamba as well as a combination. We usually start off with 6 dots of medicine. We call them gates. So the medicine is applied the same procedure as if somebody was working with combo or frog medicine. So you put gates or burn marks. First burn mark is just the first layer, and then you drop the snake venom directly on that burn mark, right? It absorbs into the skin, goes directly into the bloodstream. So this is an example. This is some of the, I don't know, how can I turn this around so y'all can see? Is there a button in here? I'm so damn old school. Let's see here. This is the button? Yeah. Okay. All right. So you see all these? These are all recent um snake venom treatments that I did on myself. Okay. Um yeah, some coyote, yes, the serpent grail. Yeah. So you see right here, these and eventually the marks go away. Because you have some people that, the vanity. You know me, I got mixed jokes. Um, but especially some of the sisters, like, well, is this gonna be on my body forever? I was like, no, 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 it doesn't. Eventually it fades away. And everyone's skin type is different. But one thing you can do, we always do after a session, we put dragon's blood. That's from a tree, which is antibacterial. And it's like a natural band-aid for the person. They use that in the jungle all the time. So we definitely put that on afterwards so it won't be any infection or anything, right? And then to upkeep it, yeah, aloe vera, coconut oil, golden seal, all these different things will help it heal much faster and eventually will fade away. All right. Um, so I put a combination of those two on me yesterday, and guess what? I feel so good. I mean, I couldn't even lay on my back, y'all. That's how much pain I was in. I I put the combination of those two snake venoms on me last night. I had so much energy that I got up. I was had enough energy to go and see my martial art teacher, work out, do all that in the morning, and I say I'm about 80% better. It's about 20% of the pain still there. I'm about to do some more snake venom when I get home, but I'm at the finish line of my pain. You know, so some of these medicines are great for so many different things. Like even combo is great for negative energy. You know, they call it panema. They call it panema or dark energy or bad energy. You know what I mean? So, and it's very common. If you read any of the old shaman books and some of these anthropologists and different people that took notes of these indigenous people, um, there's a lot of good books I don't have them on me right now. If I go back to my library, there's so many good books that highlight the essence of talking about shamanism, which we know is a Siberian word. Each medicine man, medicine woman has their own particular title or word. Like in South Africa, for instance, they call them the Sagoma, you know? So basically, each medicine man, medicine woman, you would have, man, it would be very common, even back in the day, you know, common for one shaman or one medicine man be more jealous. This one is jealous of the other one because this one is having more clients, thinking this one's taking their clients, or this one is more popular in the village. So what would be known is that they would throw what we in these circles, these shaman circles, they would throw these poisonous dots, these astro dots, and they would throw them at the other shaman, like tribal warfare, crazy shit. Throw it at this one shaman, and daggone, he gets sick or whatever. And if he didn't know how to pull it out of him, a disease would manifest or whatever. Shit gets crazy. You know what I mean? Or they might have, if they can't do it themselves, they might have to get another shaman buddy friend to take it out of them or whatever. And this shit gets real, you know. And that's why, to me, I feel like there hasn't really been any change over there ever since whatever the time, the inception of humanity. That's why I even seen in that book, The Golden Ass, when I was looking at that graphic novel, it felt like the debauchery. You know, when you see a society that's out of balance, like there was one film I only could watch that film once. I was like, man, this is too much. It was called Caligula. It was talking about the last Roman emperor who went mad. I think he had syphilis and went to his brain, went crazy. But you would in that movie, it showed you what happens to a society or people that's driven by just the senses, that everything is just for pleasure. You're talking about people of overindulgence, people eating, and eating until they get full, and they would literally throw up all their food so they could eat it again. Just crazy shit. This was ancient Rome. So when I was even reading the the when I was even reading the daggone graphic novel, and even the guy that turned into the donkey, they had one rich guy with his wife. She wanted, was into the bestiality, wanted to daggone, and the husband was there. What, the book is very graphic. You know what I mean? It's not for the sensitive of heart. But I was looking at this whole thing because I try to learn from everything, and I was like, man, um, yeah, it's called The Golden Ass. I think it's by Jodorowsky. I forgot the artist, but the artwork is amazing. It just even made me think of Isa, or you know, we might want to call him Jesus or Joshua. Everyone has their own opinion about that. Some people look at it as that figure as a symbolic figure, because we could look at the comparisons and the parallel connections with the birth date, and that being represented as the winter solstice, and all the narratives, all the stories that we see from other sun gods, such as Mithra, Horus, all these other ones. But then there's other people that don't see him as a symbol. Some people actually believe that he was a real mystic, a realized being that actually existed. Now, I have a good friend of mine, and this is what comes into very high secret society. Um, I have a friend of mine. I'm not going to mention his name because he's very in inner circles, but very brilliant brother, and has studied with a lot of high masters, and has been in a lot of different mystery schools. This one particular mystery school, that's associated with Kemet, they make pilgrimages to the sacred sites in Kemet and in Ethiopia. There was one particular temple in Ethiopia, a very old temple, where they went, and this particular teacher that he studied under was there with other high officials. He said former President Jimmy Carter was present there, and some other people were there in this temple in Ethiopia. Now, what they were witnessing in this temple was a man who was glowing. I'll say that again. They witnessed a man that was glowing, that was encased in a glass coffin. Okay. Now, when I asked my friend, well, who was this that they were looking at? They said from what they told him, what his teacher told him, that they were looking at Jesus or Yahshua or Isa. All right. Now, there are very high masters that walk among us, you know, they're high masters. And like, if you look at any of the ancient, real Christian teachings, I'm talking about the Essenes. These were supposedly the people that Jesus walked with. They're very mystical, or the Dead Sea Scrolls, things like that. There's a whole different narrative than how we look at your very modern day Bibles, King James and all the rest of it. All right. There's a different narrative. Or even looking at the Gnostic teachings, there's a different narrative on how Yahshua, or this figure, was talking. It was a message um, that was more geared to becoming a true sovereign, a universal sovereign, being able to take a responsibility for your own connection to the Most High, the All, within the All. All right. We skip over those lines in these scriptures, which they say, such as the kingdom of God is within. They even skip over these lines when Yahshua supposedly said to his disciples that you will do greater things than me. People skip over those passages because um now it will tell you, okay, now you got to be responsible for your own evolution. Now that's a different narrative, because now you're not putting some savior type of figure on the pedestal and say, oh, save me, you're the one that's going to save me. No, these realized beings, or these masters, they all had the same message: to know thyself and you will know the universe. So it's always telling you about reclaiming your power, you know learning how to drop the illusions and delusions and the trauma, so you can get out to your true divinity. All right. So yeah, he's seen, my friend's teacher seen that with his own eyes. And again, not everyone transitions the same way. We have to understand that. Even in Tibet, they have something called the rainbow body technique. The rainbow body technique. It's probably another term that they call it, but it's rainbow body. They have over 200,000 documented cases of people, eyewitnesses, of seeing these high masters turn their body into light at the time of their death. Most of the time, sometimes they would see little fingernails or little bits of hair that they would leave behind. You know what I mean? Got Nikki out here. Ah! I was talking about you, Keitha, earlier. For those who I was giving a shout out to, talking about my good friend, my good Tantrika, she's on here right now with us. Thank you, my good friend, for joining us. So not everyone transitions the same way. So we have to understand that. We have to start to expand our mind and be a little more open to know that there's much to us, much more to us, you know? And again, that snake venom, man, I put that, Nikki, Keitha, I put that on my back yesterday. I had, because I was supposed to go Cali this weekend. And I called the brother and said, man, I don't think I make it, man. You know, I've been dealing with this thing, you know, on my back, battling motherfuckers on the other side. And I don't think I make it. And the guy was like, man, Dooley, take care of yourself. Take time for yourself. Do so much for people. And then he had to remind me, did you take some snake venom for yourself? I was like, God damn, you're fucking right. I didn't. You know what I mean? So I end up taking some venom, snake venom, a combination of the Bushmaster and the Black Mamba for myself last night. And I woke up, Keitha, refreshed, high energy, went to go see my martial art teacher this morning, got my tiger, you know what I mean? I got my tiger hook sword here, swords here, you know what I mean? Like 80% of the pain's gone. I'm like, woo, woo, woo. This medicine's powerful. So, yeah, I just wanted to share with y'all. I know I shared a lot of different things. Keitha, you kind of caught the very end of this video as I'm about to actually sit down and eat something now. But I just wanted to share all that with y'all, to let you know that this medicine does work, that you have to be flexible. You got to, like, Bruce Lee said, be like water, my friend. And if you're in this type of work and this calls you, because it will call you, when you do with this healing work, most of the times, if this is going to be your, hold on, I think somebody said something here. Okay, yes, I felt that boost through the yeah, you know me too. Anytime I take Bushmaster too, for the fellas, some of the venoms are aphrodisiacs as well. So, like, the water moccasin is a very aphrodisiac for the women. Get the women very juicy. Some of the women said, "Oh, they quote unquote." I had some of the sisters say, "Oh, the water moccasin make my yoni hum, hum. It start humming." I was like, "I don't know what that means, but okay, sister." But it was funny when I was in Milwaukee. The sister that invited me down there, I gave her water moccasin. So it was like, it was so funny because she's like, I guess she's dealing with this man that she's been trying to court and stuff. And she's like, Julie, I woke up so horny. She's like, I had to send some pussy power to this man. You know what I mean? As she's talking to, I'm like, oh, you go, girl. You do your thing, you know? But the same thing for the brothers. There was a lot of marriages and relationships that that snake venom actually helped folk out with. In regard to the Bushmaster for the brothers, brings the brothers a level of confidence, a level of vigor, a level of stamina. You know what I mean? It opens up that throat chakra. You start speaking up for yourself. You know, it brings a lot of confidence. It's very fiery. So I took that with the Black Mamba last night, and boy, man, I woke up. You know what I mean? Like, like, let me roar. You know what I mean? I couldn't help. I'm like, you know what I mean? I'm like, man, it's so funny. So when I take Bushmaster, it's like, it's another energy that comes out of me. So it's very funny. But yes, I have some comments here. Hold on. Um, Oh yes, Caligula was an insane movie. Coyote says that. Yes, it was. I only could watch that shit once. That was the movie of the downfall of Rome. You know, deep. But anyways, uh, somebody else said here. Hold on. Somebody else says here. Hums, lubricate, inner fire returns. Water moccasin. Yeah, Nikki knows. She had the water moccasin. Keitha knows. Nicole says, Nicole's House of Wellness. Thanks for sharing. Missed you online. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Who is the golden ass by again? I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was Joro Roski. Joro, he has a European brother. Look up The Incal. The Incal. Incal. That book, his name will come up with that book, and then you could tie that name to the Golden Ass. But that book too is deep. Changed my life. You know what I mean? That book changed my life. You hear me? Deep, 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 deep. Um, and I heard they're gonna try to make a movie out of it. I really hope it does. But that book, The Incal, influenced so many movies out. That book influenced Dune, Dagon, Star Wars, all these other films. You know what I mean? You could see a lot of different sci-fi writers and movies that really got influenced by that book. You know, it's brilliant, brilliant on so many levels. You know what I mean? So many different themes going on there. Galactic history, all kinds of stuff. All right. But I'm gonna eat some food because I'm learning to love myself, my friends. And thank you, Keitha. Like I was saying, because I brought you up earlier about your mirror exercise with us, learning to love our bodies, accept our bodies. And again, this tummy is coming, it's going down. It's shrinking. You know what I mean? Because I'm starting to love myself again. You know what I mean? All that around there was the level of depression, of trying to daggone use food as a comfort for my sadness and all that. No, my friends, nah, ain't happening no more. I'm starting to love myself, and you should too. All right. So I love all y'all. Mwah. You know what I mean? Have a great day. Keep up the good work, my friends. Keep on working on yourself. Don't be hard on yourself either. It's a work in progress. But we are also in serious time. So those who have came to this earth at this time, you know what your job is to do here. You know, we're here to shift this paradigm. All right. So have a wonderful, wonderful day, evening, or night, whatever time you're watching this, and peace and love to you. Hey, now, how you turn this daggone thing off now? Let's see. See? Okay. Okay. Is that how you turn it off? Okay. And, yep.